So I got my manuscript back, and now it's time to make some corrections. Welcome back to Writer's Theory. I'm James Winterthorn, and today I'm going to start making the changes on my now marked up manuscript. A couple weeks ago, I gave my book to my editor, who is also my wife, and asked her to read through it and make suggestions, find any errors that got through. If you've been following along, you know that up to this point, I have entered the manuscript into ChatGPT. I asked it to be an editor. It made its suggestions. I made the changes I thought were relevant, caught the mistakes that it found. I then went through, read it myself to find the same thing, any errors, anywhere that I wanted to adjust content. I made those changes, and I produced what I thought was a pretty clean manuscript for her to read. And so I got it back now, and you can see here, this is the first page. So already you can see, hopefully you can see that clearly, there are several changes still to be made. So um, it's not a fault of the editing session in ChatGPT. It's not a fault of myself for being less thorough. I mean, maybe a little bit it is. What the continued continued errors in a manuscript is actually very normal. What it suggests or what it implies is that editing is a long process, and it takes several steps to get to a clean, acceptable manuscript. So I've got it back now. I've got the suggestions to make the changes in the book. And so what I'm going to share with you today is some of the editing sessions that I did going through making these corrections. So let's get right to that. I will narrate as we go through. This will feel like the previous editing videos because the content is very similar. So let's watch the first of two segments of me editing Ghosts Horizon. So this is a pretty simple process, at least initially, where it's interesting that I'm missing just words here and there. There's predicates that are missing, just incorrect word choices, things that you think that you would catch up on pretty easily, or that you would catch rather easily. Some of the suggestions are to clarify, like maybe what I wanted to get across wasn't what was being read. So making changes based off of that, and really just cleaning up the manuscript, making it easier to read. On to in the second chapter here, still finding those errors. I used more Spanish in the story than I thought I did, and so a lot of the corrections that I will make are to add accents in the appropriate sections or on the appropriate words, and to punctuate the Spanish as you would a Spanish sentence. So I went back and forth whether to keep the punctuation more in an English style, but I decided in the dialogue to punctuate it according to how one would punctuate Spanish, written Spanish words and sentences. So correcting the accents, getting punctuation correct, real basic stuff, and just going through and cleaning it up, really. What I found in this process, and each step is so different because you want to come to this and say, like, I should be able to edit my manuscript in a week or 2 weeks or whatever expectation we might set on ourselves walking into the process. Well, there's so many variables that it's really hard to predict just how long it will take. I think you do this enough and you get a better idea. But if I produce a really sloppy manuscript, there's nothing wrong with that, but the understanding going into it is that it's probably going to take longer to edit that rough manuscript. And so for my process right now, it's taking about an hour for every 10 pages to go through and make these adjustments. We'll see if that continues as I carry on. I just got this back, so I am sharing with you the work that I have just done in making these corrections. So let's get to the other editing session that I have for you, and I'll narrate our way through that. Yeah, so much of this is again just adding accents and then getting consistency through there. One of the things we decided was it's not really evident here, but it will be later on, and that is the use of the Apache language, which I certainly do not know. I do not know anybody that speaks it, and I certainly don't know anybody that speaks it in the way that they would have in the mid-19th century. So what we decided to do was remove most of it in place of exposition and hand gestures, which would have been more accurate, and I don't run the risk of being wildly inaccurate with what was said. Yeah, here I'm just it's a lot of cleanup. It's just amazing to think that I read through this, that I had AI go through this, and there's still things just like missing words. It just goes to show that this is such an intensive and deliberate process, and it just takes time to get it right. Now we could have sent this off to get it published sooner without cleaning it up as much. But really decided to hey, let's put out a good, clean product. Go through the numerous read-throughs and editing sessions to get it as clean as possible. Now, will some stuff get through? Maybe. I hope if anything does get through, it's very minimal and doesn't impact the story or the readability of the book. But editing and going through these steps is just takes a long time, and you do have to be very careful. I remember getting a compliment on Chords of Fate, which is also self-published, that there are no to few to none. There are very few, if any, errors in that book, and we read through it I don't even know how many times. Didn't use AI in the editing there. We used a professional editor, so my wife and I both read it a couple of times. She probably read it 3 or 4 times, and found the changes to make. We still hired a professional editor, and there was still just changes to be made. So it's just a long process. So if you've never edited a book for publication, and you don't have a 80-20 or even a 90-10 expectation on how much time editing versus writing, I'm going to tell you to adjust your expectations for how much time it's going to take to get ready for publication. So that's what I have to share with you today. The next steps are continuing to make these changes. My goal is to have these changes done for next week's update video. So I hope to be through this and then moving on to a final ChatGPT edit just to catch anything else. I'm going to tighten the comb up a little bit more and comb through it one more time after this process, in the event that there are errors in there, and hoping that AI does a decent job at catching all of them. So I'm going to get back to editing. Well, not editing, but making these corrections, which I guess is editing still. And get this book ready for publication, hopefully sooner than later. If you're enjoying this novel writing journey that I'm on, and you want other writing related content, well, please like and subscribe. Ring the bell, you'll be notified when new videos come out. If you're curious, like, what is this all about? Because I'm writing a very unique novel, starting in a very unique place when I started it. I'm using a course I created called N90 Novel Roadmap. This is the AI edition, in which I only knew that I wanted to write a Western. I didn't know what story I wanted to tell. I didn't know what characters. I didn't even have any really great scenes that I had in mind. I really just had a desire to write a Western. And so I went through the same course that I built myself, that I offer, to help me plan out this book, to come up with some character ideas, to help me with some starters when I needed help starting a chapter. And then the tracking tools and writing advice all went into the creation of the work you're seeing here on YouTube. So if you're interested in writing a novel and maybe you don't know where to start, or you just want to have some fun writing a prescriptive novel, check out N90 Novel Roadmap. I do have a discount for viewers from YouTube. So the link's below. Check it out if you're interested. Otherwise, I will carry on with my writing journey, and I hope to see you in the next video. That there are no to few to none. There are very few, if any, errors